LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down. LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down.
What's your favorite song right now?
My favorite song right now? Oh, you gotta put me on the spot.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song right now? I'll look on my phone.
I don't know why Heat Waves is like in my head right now. Heat Waves been kicking me down. I don't know what it
Very
says.
TikTok-y.
I don't even know what it says.
Okay, here's another question for you while I look for this song.
Yeah.
Where do you find new music?
TikTok. Like I hear a song and like, oh, that's so like inspirational or just so good, and then Spotify top 50 chart.
Okay, that's fair. So okay. Most of my music, and he's gonna love this because he listens to the podcast, I get from my friend Jacob.
Okay.
Jacob is just like lives on TikTok.
Yeah.
Like I think his screen time, like I don't even want to see it. Probably like 12 hours on TikTok, that guy. Putting him on blast. He like found this like viral clip of this girl. She was like just producing a song. It was just like, I think like just a couple of bars that she had at the time. And it's called Gaslight by, I'm going to fuck this up, Benjy.
Oh, I like that. Because we're talking about gaslighting today, so that's good. My son's 4 years old, and like normally the kids are hooked on iPad or all that stuff. He's hooked on Spotify.
Oh,
and so
I love
he knows
that.
how has play. He's like a DJ. He's like literally creates playlists. He knows how to hide songs. It's like that's another way actually. He actually finds like sick stuff.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
Okay, so but that song is Gaslight. And
Have you heard it?
No, I haven't.
So it's like really toxic. It's all about like woman empowerment to like just like a toxic level of just like shitting. It's like the lines are like take a couple bills out of his wallet. It's like literally like the chorus is like gaslight, gatekeep, and then something else, and it's literally just about trashing on men. At the end, she's like,
Trashing
"Oh, it's all
on
a
men.
joke." Yeah.
The men are the gaslighters, or
No, the woman should gaslight men.
The women should. Well, I think that some women do gaslight men.
They absolutely do. But it's just absolutely hilarious. It's a fucking incredible song.
Yeah, but
I dig it.
Also, we want to give a shout out to our team, our growing team for the LawFlip team. We have Ronnie, RG, Mark, doing an incredible job. It's so hard to find people that, work well with your flow. It's like, for instance, like, Arian, he does a good job, so we keep him around, even though I want to bash his head in sometimes.
I appreciate that pause because you were about to go another way and you're like, oh, we're filming. Let me be nice.
Anyway, so we're talking about gaslighting. Let's move into the Johnny. You can't have a LawFlip episode right now without a Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, discussion. So, have you been following it all?
I have. I'm glad you brought it up because I have a queue of questions for you.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, question one.
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost?
Okay.
Let me preface this. How much is she gonna put in? How much is he gonna put in? And then also just another like little thing off of that. They have to pay the court as well, right?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So litigation is so expensive. People don't quite understand. So there's a couple ways that you could pay lawyers. One is you could pay them an hourly rate, right? And there's no chance anybody working on this case is charging anything less than like, I would say at a minimum $700-800 an hour.
Right.
Okay. So that's one way. Another way is contingency, where the lawyers say, you know what, we're not going to charge you an hourly rate. We are going to take a piece of whatever the
that's
pie
what you
is.
do, right?
That's like 99% of what I do.
Okay.
The problem with this case is I don't see this case being conducive to a contingency fee. I think the only reason that a lawyer would do this case on a contingency fee is they basically think that they would get so much publicity out of this case that it doesn't matter what happens in the case, that they're going to, for the rest of time, have so much business that it doesn't make a difference.
But the problem here is Amber Heard's fucking lawyer looks like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, that's true. That's why when you do things for publicity, it doesn't always work out well. So the point is that, like, whatever the cost structure is, if these people were actually being paid an hourly rate, which they probably are, because if I were looking at this case, I wouldn't want to take this on a contingency because there's so many ways. Like, well, first of all, Depp is suing Heard for $50 million and she's countersuing him for $100 million. I don't know.
Is this all one suit? Like her countersue and his suit?
Yeah.
Is this all happening?
I believe so.
At
on
the
this
same time.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the thing is that it cost millions of dollars for both sides. You're talking about you're just seeing the trial.
Right.
You're seeing 24/7 trial.
Right.
That's literally 15 hours a day of a team of lawyers at thousands of dollars per hour.
Not the months of discovery and all that before.
The years. This case, I think, started a few years ago. To get to trial, the amount of you have depositions of experts. So this whole thing is going to cost so much money. It's so rare that a case actually goes to trial, and you have these two stubborn people that just they wouldn't let it go. They wouldn't settle because and the problem is once litigation starts and the cost increase, that makes it harder to settle because now you're like, wait, I would have settled for this much if I didn't, but I just spent $3 million. So now
would he even want to settle on a defamation case?
It's a great question. So I think the whole point of this thing was he has had his reputation go from being the biggest star on the planet to down in the dumps. And part of it is his own behavior. He's been a drug addict. He's been a jerk to a lot of people on the way. But the accusations from Amber Heard that he was abusive, that's the stuff that really is damaging. That's the stuff that makes you toxic to film studios and makes them not want to touch you. That's what made Disney not want to go near him for doing any more of the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Right. So I think from his perspective, he needed this to work from a PR perspective. And honestly, even I haven't followed that closely. Is he winning the PR battle?
Absolutely.
Why?
I think, and I mean, again, algorithms, they feed you the content you want to see. So like you have to take it with a grain of salt. But like all I've been seeing on my TikTok, all the things that my friends have been sending me, and all the things I've been seeing on Instagram too, which has a worse algorithm, which is a little bit more like of the masses, is just Amber Heard getting just demolished by these random like editors who like put together little clips. I wonder if
it's a coordinated effort, if they have a team working on it. Who knows? I mean, look,
is that common for like the law firm to have like a PR handle?
This is Hollywood, baby. This is Hollywood. This is not your average lawsuit. This is like this whole thing is to restore his image. That was the whole point of the lawsuit.
And then are there attorneys like out of nowhere, like these attorneys, or have they been around?
These are
Do you know
legitimate.
them?
No, these are legitimate. Look, it's in Virginia. I don't know if you know that. This lawsuit is happening in Virginia.
Why is it in Virginia?
Because one of the key things that started this whole thing was Heard wrote an op-ed piece in the Washington Post,
right,
where she never called out Depp by name, but it was clear it was about him.
Right.
And the online edition of the Washington Post article that she wrote was published via servers in Fairfax County in Virginia, which allowed Depp to sue her in that area. I mean, this is the type of legal insanity that goes on. People don't even understand. Like, one of the main issues in a case is where the case is held, right? Because if you have a case that's in Texas, you're going to get a lot different jury pool than if you do in liberal Santa Monica. Right. Actually, Santa Monica is known in California. So where do you think you would get a better, if you were a plaintiff trying to sue somebody, where do you think you'd get a better jury pool, in Santa Monica or downtown?
That's an incredible question. I mean, now with the little bit that you said, I'm leaning towards downtown. But before you said that, I would guaranteed said
it's
Santa
downtown
Monica.
because you have a diverse group of people that would love to light people up for big verdicts. And Santa Monica is a little bit more conservative because you have more white people that basically don't like, they're more like sort of defense oriented, more business oriented, more like, no, we're shutting these lawsuits down. They're all frivolous type of thing.
Interesting. I got a couple more questions for the case.
Go.
He testified for like 5-6 days.
Yeah. I don't think it was 5-6 days, but he testified a lot.
That's like hella, no?
Yeah. I mean, look, I was involved in a very big case where the defendant was on the stand for 40 days. Yeah. Crazy.
So how long is this case going to last? Like 30 days?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's got to be closing up in the next like week or so. There's just, I mean, it's just the.
Is she gonna testify?
I don't know. She it's not a criminal case. So unless she refuses to, he's allowed to call her as a witness. So she's gonna go up. He's gonna definitely call her as a witness. She may like refuse to answer certain questions, but she has to. It's a civil case. She has to testify.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another question for you.
Yeah.
Is Elon Musk just going to give a deposition? Like, are we going to see him in court? Because that would be incredible.
He loves the flair. It's almost like you think that he's just an online troll not running the biggest companies in the world. You know,
Yeah.
He loves it. He really loves it.
Yeah.
Well, the story, did she have an affair with him? Was that the story?
I don't know enough. From my understanding, there is a security camera clip of her and Elon Musk like canoodling in an elevator. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, but this whole case, the story seems to be that she's accusing him of abuse, and like the public relations story that's being told right now is that she was one of those narcissistic gaslighters. Those women, it's very often I hear this story a lot where like the woman calls out the man for abuse, and in reality she's being like verbally and potentially physically abusive. And they even got into this psychotic thing where they were recording each other, which is totally insane. Where she basically is like, "Oh yeah, Johnny Depp, you go tell the world that you've been abused by a woman," and he's like, "Yeah, I am," and like it's just crazy. It's
fucking
just
nuts.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. The guy's been like the biggest superstar. But look, there's I think it's safe to say that probably most of the time the male is abusive in the relationship, but like there for sure are these situations where women who are pretend to be, you know, feminists, they pretend to be all these different things, but they hide behind being a woman and say, "Oh, well, I could never hurt this person," but they know that they could hit a person, they could abuse a person, and what are you gonna do? Go out and tell people that you were physically abused by a woman? It's a tough situation. So that's where we're at. Arian, do you think Trump will ever face consequences?
There's no chance he's ever like spending a moment in jail.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's the fucking president of the United States of America, or was the president of the fucking United States of America. It's like, so like, I think even if he does get convicted, like in a couple years or something like that, there is no chance that the president doesn't pardon him.
Whoever the president is at the time, I don't know.
Like, I would not at all be surprised if Biden pardons him.
Wow. I mean, Biden is like an interesting person that is like, you know, he's a faithful person that like kind of like I could see him potentially doing something like that, but I don't know. But anyway, a New York judge has found President Trump in contempt for failing to adequately respond to a subpoena issued by the state's attorney general in New York. He basically, this is the lawsuit in New York where they're claiming he's engaged in a pattern of misleading banks and tax authorities about the value of his properties. And like the judge in this case basically said, "Mr. Trump, I know you take your business seriously and I take mine seriously." And he basically held Trump in contempt. And after saying that one of the main things that made the judge hold him in contempt was that they didn't provide a declaration from Trump saying that he himself did everything possible and was diligent to try to find these records. But so he's in contempt right now. He's in contempt, and
I read that article. It said like $10,000 a day or some shit like that.
Yeah,
is that like a bill that's being like sent to his company? Who knows if
he's
like,
ever going to actually pay it? Who knows? But like the thing is that when you start disobeying judges' orders, weird stuff can happen. They could really, they're going to eventually comply. They're going to eventually comply. It always happens. But just my general take on this big case is like generally, like I've said before, is when you have problems, right? And you want somebody to go down. Usually they go down with like a financial issue. They're misleading people or they're filing improper tax returns. This is a type of case that can bring him down. It's just a little bit weak. Like, oh, so he like inflated.
Yeah, like I love how like out of all this fucking shit this guy did, like it's gonna be some bullshit about like the Trump organization that brings him down.
Well,
like,
he like
what?
leading the insurrection. No, that's not gonna do it. But saying that Trump Tower was like worth a couple $100 million more than what it is. I don't know. It's a little bit weak. Okay, so there's a new complaint that was filed in Florida to ban the Bible as too woke. So what's happening is you have this activist, Shaz Stevens, has filed a complaint with 8 school districts in Florida challenging the Bible's place in schools after DeSantis, the governor in Florida, and GOP state legislators passed a Stop Woke Act meant to keep prohibited topics like racism and LGBTQ issues out of the classroom. So this guy is saying, you know what? I'm gonna play your own game. He said the Bible's too woke to be available to the young. The book contains several prohibited topics, including incest, bestiality, progressive social programs, and the repercussions of slavery.
I love it.
How amazing is that? That's the problem. You make these laws, you make them, they're vague enough to apply and not be like held to a discriminatory standard and not be looked at as discriminatory, but it's only going to be applied in a discriminatory way.
Yeah.
So then people take advantage of it and they say, oh, there's an opening here.
Yeah.
The Bible is too woke. And
it's like, and it's true. Like the Bible's a fucked up book. Like, dude, like I'm very Jewish. Like I don't understand Hebrew. For a minute, I could read Hebrew, around my bar mitzvah.
I've been reading Hebrew like crazy recently. I've been crushing like at Shabbat and
really.
I've been like.
But you don't understand it either.
A little bit. Very little.
Really?
Very little.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I can't understand it at all. When I was younger, I was like reading the like translation in English.
Yeah.
And it was like, dude, like that's a fucked up book. Like there's some fucked up shit that goes on.
Look.
Like it is a little like gory.
There's this great clip on TikTok where those, the Good Liars. Have you seen those guys? They're the ones that troll Trump all the time. They went to his press conference like, "You're boring." It was amazing.
Incredible.
Anyway, they go to Trump rallies and stuff, and they go to a pastor, and they're like, "Oh, so you believe that you should have that?"
I have seen this clip. I've totally seen this clip.
You do believe that books like this, like with bestiality and stuff, should be kept out of the schools? He's like, absolutely.
And
what about the Bible?
And he's
like, oh,
I see where you're going with this. Yeah.
Anyway, like Jesus apparently was the wokest dude, around. So who knows if that will go anywhere. This is an interesting one. What do you think we should do with drunk drivers? I know you have a history with this topic, so tell people what your history is and what should be done with drunk drivers.
It's incredible because I like, you never know. It was one of the first things that I showed you when I was interviewing with you a couple years ago, was this short film that I made with a few friends and with the school. It was in conjunction with the school and the city of Beverly Hills back in high school. It's called Every 15 Minutes. Basically, every 15 minutes, somebody dies of drunk or distracted driving. That number is not accurate anymore. That was, I think, back in the 90s when the program started. As of right now, the last time I checked was a couple of years ago. The number is more so every 45 minutes, which is still insane. It's a cost of doing business that we all accept, which is totally unacceptable.
Right.
Which is that, again, every 45 minutes, somebody dies of drunk or distracted driving. Insane.
It's gotta be even more than that. They don't even have the detail. I mean, it's gotta be more than that because everybody's texting all day, every day while they're driving.
Horrible. I mean, and if you include accidents, I'm sure the number skyrockets.
Yeah.
It's every minute or something. Basically, it's this program where it spans over 2 days. First day, they the students reenact in front of their classmates a car accident. So the fire department will bring 2 like wrecked cars. And then we'll hire makeup artists, and they'll like put blood all over these kids. They'll like put them into the cars. They'll like basically like hide the cars with like a tarp. They set up some bleachers. All the students come and sit on the bleachers. They have this little like little bit of an explosion that goes off in a little tin container that's supposed to be the sound of the crash. And they move the tarp off of it, reveals this like huge car wreck, and basically like they watch the aftermath of a car accident unfold, and it's their friends acting. It becomes very surreal very quickly. Everybody is laughing before it starts. Everybody's like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like, this is just like some like little thing, like, oh, we get to be out of class. And by the end of it, everybody's crying. Like the fire department comes up with their trucks. They bring out the jaws of life. They like rip off the door. They bring the kids out. Like the drunk driver starts getting like interviewed by the police. She gets put in handcuffs, gets like taken to the car, all of that. Then the kids who are watching go back to class, whatever. The kids who are in the program continue. They go to a courthouse. They go and get like they get put into jail, all of that, and we film it. And then overnight, we turn it into a movie. And the next day, we present it to the entire school. And it's basically this whole film of like these kids being like, all right, let's go party. They go, they get drunk, they get in the car, they start driving, they get in a car accident, they wreck their lives. And it's like just how everything turns to shit. And it's like this really incredible program.
I think that we need to get to self-driving cars.
You think that'll be the solution?
That's a solution. I mean, people are, I trust technology more than I trust people.
That's fair.
Anyway, so Tennessee wants to have people who drive drunk pay child support in case they kill a parent. So the bill in Tennessee unanimously passed in the Senate Wednesday that would require someone convicted of vehicular homicide due to intoxication to pay child support if that person kills a parent. The child support will be based on the parent's income. So first of all, here's the reality. The reality is that when you get into a car accident and you hurt somebody, you could file for wrongful death, a wrongful death action. But
this makes it a little easier for the victims to
get
it's another
money. It's another penalty. It's another means to collect money from this person. But like, I'm not going to say most people, that drive drunk don't have money, but most people that get into car accidents, period, don't have money, don't have the type of money to pay for child support for another person. But most people can't pay for their own kids. Right. They're not going to be able to pay for another kid's child support. And then like, it depends. Like, child support is based on the kid's needs. Some kids live in really not expensive areas. And some kids are, kids of wealthy parents. So if you lose a wealthy parent, now, this person is going to be responsible for paying child support for a super wealthy kid.
Still, though, an incredible disincentive.
Yeah, 100%. But I just think that,
if the DUI wasn't enough, if killing somebody wasn't enough, God fucking damn.
I can't believe that people still drive under the influence with Uber and all this stuff. It's just crazy. You have multiple. I just saw this TikTok of this lawyer who I think I may have some connection to. He's out here bragging on TikTok.
Yeah, about that Persian guy.
Yeah, he's like, he literally thinks, good for him. It's getting him like publicity, but he's like, here we have our client, she's been charged with 3 straight DUIs and I got her off with nothing. And she had thousands of comments basically saying like, you're doing the devil's work. Like, it's just, I don't get it. It's just, driving drunk. It's just fucking insane. But
yeah, like I don't necessarily have a problem with people defending guilty people.
No, it's can't be too excited about getting.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be proud of it. You know.
What do you think? Do you think that we will ever come up with laws that would effectively regulate the likes of Google, Meta, and others?
In the U.S., it's going to be a hot minute, but thankfully, the European Union got us covered.
Yes. So the EU agreed on the broad terms of the Digital Services Act, or DSA, which will force tech companies to take greater responsibility for content that appears on their platforms. The new obligations include removing illegal content and goods more quickly, explaining to users and researchers how their algorithms work, and taking stricter action on the spread of misinformation. So some of the things they're looking at is like targeted advertising based on religion, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. That's going to be banned. And then this is one that I'm particularly interested in, confusing, or they call it dark patterns, where it's confusing or deceptive user interfaces designed to steer users into making certain choices. That's going to be prohibited. Like where they, first of all,
the cookies is the thing that pisses me off the most.
And then canceling subscriptions. Like for me, it's so annoying to cancel subscriptions. I just freaking give up. I don't know. Sometimes I just get, and I'm like,
it's a white man's problem, but okay.
No. I used to be so obsessed with not having recurring subscriptions, and it's just like, how many subscriptions do you have right now, or are you
probably
very limited?
Active subscriptions? A lot of them are work. Probably like 30 to 35.
Yeah. But this whole algorithm thing is interesting. It's going to be interesting. Elon Musk said one of the things he's going to do with Twitter is he's going to basically make algorithms open source so that everybody understands how things are done on Twitter. Do you believe that?
I think he'll do it. I don't know if it'll be necessarily like a good thing.
Why?
Like, first of all, also like if it's just like lines of code, like I'm not gonna ever in my life be able to understand that shit. And then like if it's like a plain text summary, like how does that actually translate? And then also is that a good thing? Because like what if people start taking advantage of it? Like I don't necessarily know. It brings up a lot of questions in my head. I'll leave it to smarter people than me.
But the big tech, I mean, look, they have a big responsibility. They make so much money. And they have most of these tools, because most of these tools they use themselves for selling advertising. So it's not like this. It's not like that much of a heavy lift. It's basically like using the technology that they already have in place and applying it and helping society.
Yeah. Hey, maybe we've talked about it. I know we've talked about him in the past. Do you watch John Oliver?
Not that much.
Okay, first of all, you have to.
Okay.
He did this web exclusive on Airbud, but that's a whole different story.
On Air One?
On Airbud. On
Airbud.
Airbud. A couple of weeks ago, he did this piece basically like about that, like of just about like ads and third-party data and all that. He basically like blackmailed like a bunch of politicians. They're using third-party data, and he talks about how crazy
it's so easy
the information these companies have.
Oh my
over
god!
You. Yeah.
By the way, right now they're crushing like the policy council at Twitter. Like Elon Musk is going at a couple of the executives. That's actually the like part of the role that I was applying for at Twitter when they had a hiring freeze.
Right.
Which is kind of crazy. I would be in a battle with Elon Musk right now. So here's the most important question of the day. Do you like to make lemonade mix?
I like to make fresh lemonade.
How?
So I don't know like how it happens. Like every once in a while, just like a huge like 5-gallon bag of just lemons just appear at home. Like, cause like a family member gives it to another family member, gives it to another family. Like if one family member has a tree who like takes it all and then give it, we end up with a bunch of lemons.
Okay.
And like anytime we get like a big handful, like I'll make like a little lemon tart, make some limoncello, make some lemonade.
What are you?
Like hit a lemon water every morning, every night. It's incredible.
The term hitting a lemon water is incredible. Okay,
Los Angeles, baby.
So I love juice. So I'm like a baby. Like when I go to like Starbucks, I need multiple drinks. So I have like multiple the cup holders. I get 2 large cups of ice. I get a passion fruit unsweetened. I get a coffee. I get waters. It's like psychotic. Like, do you have any like babyish behavior like that, or like psychotic behavior like that?
I mean, like psychotic behavior all day, every day. I got psychotic behavior going on. About drinks and food, particularly, I don't know. I guess like I don't like sharing my drinks with like people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like that's pretty normal.
Okay, well, just like this is just a guy. The reason why I like this topic is because I love lemonade. But a guy in Alabama thinks Kraft wasn't honest with the information in their packaging for lemonade mix. So, and
it's incredible because we were talking about this a few weeks ago with the size shrinking.
Yeah, size
that was
shrinking.
happening.
Yeah. So
and
basically, a lawsuit
similar.
against Kraft Heinz for false labeling and deceptive practices in relation to the company's Country Time lemonade mixes. So the funny thing about this is like people think that like. I'm not saying this didn't happen, but this is so lawyer driven. Like, it's not like some guy woke up some morning, was analyzing this, and then went to a lawyer.
It's like, for sure like just some firm. This is all they do.
This is all they
go
do.
And find little things.
They find little things, and then they find some random guy who likes lemonade. It's like, could you be the class representative? That's 100% what happened here. Like, that's why people read these and they're like, oh, this guy wasn't wronged. Yeah, he wasn't, and nobody like. The point is, they just need a figurehead to like file the lawsuit. So it's another one of those lawsuits that sound frivolous, and it kind of is. But hold the company accountable. Give people their full lemonade. Okay, so now, do you know what the leading cause of death is for young people in the country?
I don't.
You don't?
Enlighten me.
It is guns. Guns are now the leading cause of death among children and teenagers in the U.S.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
That's what?
America,
What?
baby. Come on, baby. It's America.
Other countries, for sure, hear this shit, and they're like, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. More people aged 1 to 19 died from gun-related injuries in 2020 than in vehicle crashes or drug overdoses, according to analysis of federal data by researchers at the University of Michigan. So the crazy line that I saw from this is the increasing rates of firearm mortality are a longer-term trend and demonstrate that we continue to fail to protect our youngest population from a preventable cause of death. That's such a devastating line. Like that there's a long-term trend that we are going towards that...
It's just getting worse and worse.
And that the causing death in youths from a preventable cause of death. It's just unbelievable.
Repeal the fucking Second Amendment. I don't give a fuck.
I just I know that there are well-intentioned people on both sides of the gun debate, but like it's just hard for me to understand why guns are so important to people. And it's because I'm in a liberal bubble and I don't shoot guns. But
yeah, so stupid.
Hate it. And yeah, that is just. Did you see the Mike Tyson punch?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, because
I loved it.
The guy has so much trauma built up over so much time, and he's done so much work on himself.
And he never got in trouble about it, right? Like the other guy was the one who ended up getting in trouble.
So he punched some guy on the plane, but the guy was drunk and annoying the shit out of him on the plane, being a Karen. He was like starting to be Mike Tyson was like starting. He was nice to him, and he just couldn't take it anymore. He couldn't take it anymore, and so like,
what do you fucking expect? You know what I mean? Like you what? You bother Mike fucking Tyson? Like, what do you think is gonna happen?
The funny thing is that people, like kids your age, if you look at him, he's like very calmed down now. He's very calmed down. He talks like very chill. He smokes weed. This guy was a ruthless fighter, and also just like if people asked him questions in the press, he would attack them. He would fight all over the place. So this guy, it was just crazy. The guy was just looking for a problem. So anyway, we're moving on.
I love that because it's like everybody ended up on Mike Tyson's side with this.
Oh yeah. Nobody.
He beat the shit out of somebody, and everybody,
he got a free pass.
That's kosher.
Yeah. All right, we're moving on to legal tip of the week.
If you work from home in California and your employer is not giving you any sort of reimbursement or stipend for home utility use, personal cell phone use, anything of that kind, you are entitled to reimbursement. California law is very protective when it comes to employees and being reimbursed by the employer. Take advantage of it and make sure your employer pays you everything you're owed.
We've all been in workplaces where we like to joke around, right, Arian? We like to joke around a little bit, but one thing that you cannot joke around about is firing people. So, yeah, you could, okay, like I'm not gonna hire you anymore. But like if you like harass somebody to the point where you repeatedly tell them you're gonna fire them, that could be a form of harassment that subjects you to a lawsuit. Or it empowers you to file a lawsuit if you're the employee. So if your employer keeps joking about firing you, it may be a form of harassment. Generally, it isn't harassment if it's done a few times. But if they do it consistently in your work environment and you find it to be a hostile or offensive work environment, talk to a lawyer. Talk to us. Call us, 1-833-LawFlip. It's Smith Law. We're an employment, personal injury, and class action law firm. Call us anytime. Arian, it was wonderful talking to you. We talked about all sorts of stuff. Johnny Depp.
The whole gauntlet. It
was wonderful. If anybody hasn't done so already and you're a lawyer or you know a lawyer, you got to sign up for LawFlip. It's a referral online platform for lawyers. It's www.lawflip.com. If you have any questions about it whatsoever, hit me up. Let's go. We'll see you next time.